Marcus Aurelius woke up each morning and imagined his children dead, his wife gone, his empire destroyed, everything he loved taken from him. This wasn't depression, this wasn't pessimism. This was the most powerful mental practice ever created. The Stoics called it Premeditatio Malorum, premeditation of evils, negative visualization, and modern neuroscience is now confirming what they knew 2,000 years ago, that imagining loss makes you appreciate what you have. Today I'm showing you this dark practice, how to do it, why it works, and the warning about doing it wrong, because once you understand this, you'll never take anything for granted again. Let me tell you about James Stockdale, Navy pilot, shot down over Vietnam, became a prisoner of war for 7 years, tortured regularly, kept in isolation, no idea if he'd ever see his family again. Most prisoners broke, went insane, gave up hope. Stockdale, he survived. Not just survived, he became the highest-ranking officer in the prison, led a resistance movement, kept other men alive. How? Before he was captured, he'd studied the Stoics, particularly Epictetus. And Epictetus had taught him something critical, something that saved his life. Negative visualization. Every single day in that prison, Stockdale imagined it getting worse, imagined more torture, imagined never getting out, imagined his family forgetting him. And paradoxically, this made him stronger. When torture came, he'd already lived it in his mind. It wasn't a shock, it was expected. When isolation continued, he'd already accepted it. He wasn't waiting for rescue. He was prepared for permanence. The other prisoners, they clung to optimism. We'll be out by Christmas. Christmas came and went. Devastation. Stockdale prepared for the worst, and when the worst came, he was ready. This is the power of negative visualization. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. Every morning, before he started his duties as emperor, he wrote in his journal, and he reminded himself, "The people I love are mortal. They could die today. This might be the last time I see them." Not to be morbid, to be present. Seneca wrote to his friend, "Rehearse them in your mind. Exile, torture, war, shipwreck, all the terms of the human lot should be before our eyes." He wasn't being pessimistic. He was being prepared. Epictetus taught his students, "When you kiss your child goodnight, whisper to yourself, 'Tomorrow you may be dead.' When you embrace your wife, remember, she is mortal." Sounds dark, right? But here's what it actually does. It makes you appreciate them. Now, not later. Not when they're gone. Now. The Stoics understood something modern psychology calls hedonic adaptation, the tendency to take good things for granted. You get a new car, exciting for a week. Then it's just a car. You start a relationship, amazing at first. Then they become familiar. You have your health, until you don't. Then you'd give anything to have it back. Negative visualization breaks this cycle. By imagining loss, you reset your appreciation. Here's why this works. Neurologically, your brain has a negativity bias. It pays more attention to threats than rewards. This kept our ancestors alive. But in modern life, it makes us anxious, always scanning for danger, never appreciating safety. Negative visualization hijacks this system. When you deliberately imagine loss, your brain treats it as real. It activates the same neural pathways as actual loss. Then, when you open your eyes, and the loss hasn't happened, your brain experiences relief, gratitude, appreciation. Dr. Robert Emmons, the leading researcher on gratitude, found that people who regularly practice negative visualization show higher levels of life satisfaction, lower rates of depression, stronger relationships. Because they're not taking things for granted, they're seeing them as gifts, temporary gifts. Marcus Aurelius understood this. We have two lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. Here's how to practice negative visualization correctly. Step 1. Pick one thing you value: your partner, your health, your home, your career. One thing. Step 2. Set a timer for 3 minutes. Close your eyes and vividly imagine losing it, not abstractly, specifically. If it's your partner, imagine the conversation where they say they're leaving. Imagine packing their things. Imagine the empty space in your bed. If it's your health, imagine the doctor's diagnosis. Imagine the limitations. Imagine what you can't do anymore. If it's your home, imagine the fire, the flood, the loss. Imagine starting over with nothing. Feel the grief, the fear, the emptiness. Don't run from it. Sit in it. Step 3. Open your eyes and notice it hasn't happened yet. You still have it right now, today. Step 4. Act accordingly. Call that person tonight. Tell them you love them, not because you're scared, because you're grateful. Take care of your health today, not tomorrow. Today. Appreciate your home, your job, your life, not as permanent, as temporary, as a gift you're borrowing. Seneca said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Negative visualization is the path to that wisdom. But here's the warning, and this is critical. Negative visualization is not paranoia. You're not obsessing over loss 24/7. You're doing it intentionally, for a few minutes, then releasing it, catastrophizing. You're not spiraling into everything will go wrong. You're preparing for specific possibilities, then acting appropriately. Nihilism. You're not concluding nothing matters because we all die. You're concluding everything matters more because it's temporary. Epictetus warned, some things are in our control, some are not. Negative visualization is about accepting what you can't control, not becoming paralyzed by it. If you imagine losing your health, and it makes you anxious and frozen, you're doing it wrong. If you imagine losing your health, and it motivates you to exercise, eat well, appreciate your body, you're doing it right. The goal isn't fear. The goal is appreciation and preparation. When you practice this correctly, 3 things change. First, you stop clinging. You love people, but you don't suffocate them because you know clinging won't keep them. Nothing will keep them. They're temporary. So you love them freely. Marcus loved his wife deeply, but he didn't need her to be immortal. He accepted her mortality and loved her more because of it. Second, you stop complaining. The Stoics had a practice. When something inconvenient happened, they'd say, "This is nothing compared to what I could lose." Traffic. You still have a car and your health to drive it. Argument with your partner. At least they're still alive to argue with. Bad day at work. At least you have work. And the ability to do it. Negative visualization puts everything in perspective. Third, you become fearless. Not because nothing bad can happen, because you've already lived it in your mind. Stockdale wasn't fearless because he thought he'd escape. He was fearless because he'd already accepted the worst. When you've mentally rehearsed loss, death, destruction, what's left to fear? You become like Marcus Aurelius, who wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He wasn't afraid of death, because he'd faced it every morning, in his mind. Tonight, before you sleep, do this. Imagine everyone you love, gone. Your parents, your partner, your children, your friends, gone. Sit with that emptiness, that silence, that grief. Then open your eyes and realize they're still here, today, now, and tomorrow. Call them, hug them, tell them, not because you're afraid, because you're awake. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He was wrong. Sometimes we suffer in imagination, so we can appreciate reality. You've learned the Stoic practice of negative visualization. Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. Last week I showed you the shadow self, how to integrate your darkness. This week I'm showing you how to prepare for loss, appreciate what you have, and become fearless. Tuesday, I'm teaching you something critical, how to love people deeply, without disappearing into them, without losing yourself. Subscribe to Valor Vision, because the Stoics didn't avoid darkness. They walked through it and came out stronger. Marcus Aurelius imagined death every morning. Not to be afraid, to be alive. Start today.